Welcome back to the workshop, everybody. So glad you could be with me here today. Walter here at the Workbench. Ha ha! How you like that intro? Hey, listen, real quick one today. Do you take care of your workbench? Or do you beat the total tar out of it? Well, a workbench is a tool. Would you take your Lie-Nielsen 62 and just throw it around? Would you take your antique joiner plane and just throw it around? Of course not. Your workbench is a tool. That's why I bought this workbench. I did not make it. I bought it. It's a tool. And everybody's saying, oh, but if you're any kind of a cabinet maker or furniture maker, you make your own workbench. Well, I've made a few. But I found that this particular one, it's a Joburg, made in Sweden. It's made of European beech, steamed and kiln dried, and it's a laminated top. I don't particularly like the holes in the top the way they are, but that's the way they make them. But it came time right now to give the top a good cleaning and flattening. It was starting to I started to notice a few spots were not flat. So, at first, I used my Lie-Nielsen 62 with the Ron Hawk, just so you can see, Hawk Tools, number 62. Lie-Nielsen 62 blade, which I had Ron made a bunch of these for me. If you need one, let me know. I used this one with the pure 25-degree hone and went straight across the grain. And you would hear, you hear it hitting the high spots. And I went across the whole top a few different times, first straight across and a little bit of an angle each way, and I got it pretty much flat, but I ran into a problem. The problem was tear out. And that's where, if you're making your own bench, you will be light years. I'm telling you, light years ahead as far as maintenance is concerned than a factory-made top. I don't care if you go to Woodcraft and buy a ballet top. It's either Bally or Ballet. They make hardened rock maple butcher block tops for kitchens. They're 1.5 inch thick or 1 3/4 inch thick maybe. And they're all staggered joint butcher block. They're a great top for kitchen cabinets. They're 25 inches deep. They fit perfect. The trouble is their manufacturing process is all abrasive sanders that flatten the top. So they don't care which way this grain is going. They don't care if it's quarter sawn grain or flat sawn grain, if it's edge grain, or if, they don't care because the sanders will go right through. When you're planing, however, if you use an extremely low angle, you're going to get tear out. I don't care what you do, you're going to get tear out. So, I put the old Lie-Nielsen blade back in, which I had honed to 43, 48 degrees, something like that. It's not an exact science, but I wanted to get to like a 60-degree cutting angle. And that did a lot better job across the grain and with or against the grain. But there was still a little tear up here and there. So what I did is I took a wide 4-inch by 6-inch plank, and I flattened one side, and I put on a piece of 120 grit abrasive. And I just ran that across back and forth. It was 4 foot long as the bench. And it would highlight where my high spots were. Then I came in with my cabinet scraper. And the cabinet scraper is pretty neat because it's darn close to eliminating tear up. And basically, I mean, it's dull now because I've completed the task. But it would be nice if I turned it the right way. I mean, as you can see, it just takes off shavings. And it doesn't really matter. There we go. See, it takes off what is similar to a planer shaving. Okay? It's not meant for doing edges like this. But I'm just doing a demonstration here. So you get these type shavings. So I put some pencil marks across the tabletop. And then I made sure I worked each section till all the pencil marks were gone. I did it one way, then I did it the other way, and then I took the sandpaper again and I touched it, and then I did it again. So right now, we're pretty good as far as flat. I've checked it with my straight edge, and I've re-oiled it. What I use for my finishing is Kramer's Antique Improver. One of the reasons why I use this, other than the fact that I have a lot of it, is it's 14 parts, all natural, no petroleum distillates, no petroleum products. So there's things like linseed oil, shellac, alcohol, turpentine, and some other resins and oils. So while it doesn't build up a fancy finish, it penetrates, it seals, and protects. Now what I'll do is next week, about a week later, I'll come back and I'll give it another coat. And then a week after that, I have my own wax oil turpentine mixture that I've made. It's more of a paste wax. And I'll give this a complete coat of paste wax and then buff it off. And I'll be good to go for another year or two. But this time, I am going to make something to protect this top. I'm going to get myself a piece of, and I believe it's 24 by 48. If not, I have to adapt, of tempered hardboard, or they call it tempered or hardened masonite. It's the darker one, and it's usually 1/8 or 1/4 inch thick. I'll probably get the 1/4 inch. And I will make a top for this using that, so that when I have to do things like sharpening or fixing something that's other than raw wood, something with dirt on it, something with paint on it, something that may ding the top, I'll put that top on. And then when I'm planing my clean wood, then I can use just the wooden workbench top. You know, your workbench is the most important tool in your shop, and I've said that. If it's not flat, it's not helpful to you. It's just like if your plane is not flat, it's not helpful to you. If it's not clean, it can muck up clean wood. If you've got dirt or grit on it from sharpening, it's not good. So that's another project that I have to come up with. I have to come up with some way of having a board that I can either slip out from underneath the bench and put it on the bench for sharpening and then put it right back underneath the bench so it's handy. Or just put that protective top on it, do my sharpening, but that's kind of a hassle. I think a small board or a rubber mat would be nice. Working on that. So all in all, this is what I used to flatten this. I did use this a little bit. The longer 24-inch jointer helped to just check for those high spots. But almost everything was done with the number 62. And right now you can see it's still working, but it's time for a honing. I got to hone both blades, the low angle and the high angle. But that's about it for today. And listen, it's your workshop. You do what you feel makes you happy. And because of my OCD and ADD and DHD and LMNOP, I thought it was time to clean the workbench top. I mean, most of the guys with the fancy workbenches, and you know who they are on YouTube and other places on the internet, they too re-flatten their bench tops from time to time because there's humidity in the air and there's seasonal movement in the wood. Today was a great day here in PA. We finally got heat and dry air. So I had low humidity and heat, so that was a perfect time to do the bench top. Hey, listen, head out to your shop. Go make some shavings. Walter out.